There was a year, maybe you're in it right now, when it felt like your whole body changed the locks and didn't give you a key. The sleep went first, then the joints, then a heat that rises out of nowhere in the middle of a sentence, the belly that arrived without an invitation, and a brain that walks into a room and forgets, completely, why. And when you go looking for the one thing that explains all of it at once, nobody hands it to you. So here it is. Almost all of it traces back to a single hormone, falling. Not slowly, not gently. In one roughly 2-year window, estrogen doesn't drift downhill, it crashes. And because estrogen doesn't just live in your ovaries, it lives in your brain, your bones, your heart, your skin, your joints. When it drops, every one of those places feels it at nearly the same time. That's the secret nobody says out loud. It wasn't 10 different problems. It was one. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly what happens, system by system. And the one almost nobody warns you about is the silent one, the one you can't feel at all. Let's start with the hormone itself, because the picture in your head is probably wrong. When most of us imagine estrogen in midlife, we picture a gentle slope, a smooth line easing down over many calm years. That's not what the measurements show. Researchers in the SWAN study, the study of women's health across the nation, tracked thousands of women through this transition and watched estrogen do something much messier. For years it swings. It spikes high, then crashes low, then spikes again, which is exactly why 1 month you feel fine and the next you feel like a stranger in your own body. And then, starting roughly 2 years before your final period, it falls off a cliff. Not a slope, a drop. Here's a definition that surprises almost everyone. Menopause isn't a season, and it isn't the year of hot flashes. Menopause is a single day, the day that lands 12 months after your very last period, and you can only ever spot it looking backwards. Everything you're feeling, all of it, happens in the years leading up to that day while the hormone is still crashing. For most women, the whole thing centers around age 51. So the year everything changed is real, and it has a shape. The question is what that falling line actually does on its way down. Start at the top, your brain, because the first place estrogen leaves is your head, and it shows up as the symptom everyone jokes about and nobody enjoys, the hot flash. Here's what's actually happening, and it's genuinely fascinating. Deep in your brain sits a cluster of cells that act like a thermostat, with a very narrow comfort zone. Estrogen is what keeps that thermostat calm and wide. When estrogen withdraws, a specific set of neurons, researchers call them KNDI neurons, swell up and start firing too hard, and they squeeze that comfortable temperature zone down to almost nothing. So a change so small you'd never normally notice it now trips the alarm, and your body slams the emergency cooling, the flush, the sweat, the heat crawling up your neck. It is not you being dramatic. It is a brain circuit misreading the room, and these aren't a passing phase. In that same SWAN research, hot flashes lasted a median of more than 7 years, and for many women they carried on for years after periods had already stopped. Estrogen leaving your brain does something else too, the one that scares people most. The brain fog, the word that won't come, the reason you walked in here. And I need you to hear the good news on this one clearly. The research shows that dip in memory and mental speed during the transition is, for most women, temporary. It tends to climb back toward normal once you're through to the other side. It is a signal getting scrambled, not your mind slipping away. If your memory problems are severe or steadily getting worse, that's worth a doctor's visit, but the ordinary perimenopausal fog is not the beginning of the end, which is a relief, except the next 2 changes don't announce themselves at all, and that's exactly what makes them dangerous. Here's the part almost nobody warns you about. Everything so far you can feel. But 2 of the biggest changes happen in total silence, and they happen whether you have a single hot flash or not. The first is your bones. All through your life, estrogen has quietly protected your skeleton, slowing the natural breakdown of old bone. Take estrogen away, and that protection drops, and bone loss speeds up sharply right around your final period. In the fastest stretch, women lose bone from the spine at around 2.5% a year, adding up to roughly 10% of their spinal bone over the decade of the transition. You will not feel a single percent of it. There's no ache, no symptom, no warning, until, for some women, a wrist or a hip breaks far too easily years later. And the second silent one is your heart. For years, we blamed midlife cholesterol on simply getting older. Then, Swan measured it properly and found something sharper. Right around the final period, from about a year before to a year after, a woman's LDL, the cholesterol that clogs arteries, jumps. Not a slow midlife drift, a step change tied to the hormone, not the birthday. Again, you can't feel it. Your bones and your arteries are being quietly renegotiated behind a wall of no symptoms at all. And this is the whole argument for paying attention now instead of later. The loud symptoms get all the attention, while the two that actually shape how the rest of your life goes make no sound whatsoever. Hold on to that. But there's another change you can see. And it's the one that makes women feel most betrayed by the mirror, because somewhere in here, your body seems to quietly rearrange itself. And the cruelest part is that the scale barely moves. Here's what the research actually found. As estrogen falls, two things happen at once. The rate at which you gain fat roughly doubles, and your muscle starts to slip away. Fat up, muscle down. And because they trade off, the number on the scale can sit almost perfectly still while your shape changes underneath it. And that fat doesn't come back to the same address. For most of your life, estrogen sent it to your hips and thighs. As estrogen drops, it reroutes inward and upward to the belly and to the deep kind that wraps around your organs, which roughly doubles across the transition. Same woman, sometimes the very same weight, a completely different silhouette. Now, I know what the story in your head says. It says your metabolism slowed down. Let me gently take that one away, because a landmark study measured the daily energy burn of thousands of people from infancy to old age and found something startling. Your metabolism holds almost perfectly steady from your 20s clear through your 50s. There is no menopausal slump in the engine. It didn't slow down. Your muscle quietly shrank, and your hormones changed where the fat lives. That's not willpower, that's chemistry, and it means the fix isn't eating less and less. Hold that thought, because it comes back at the end. One more visible change, and then the part I most want you to hear. The last visible one is the one the cosmetics aisle would love you not to understand: your skin. Estrogen is one of the quiet engines behind collagen, the springy scaffolding that keeps skin firm and plump. When estrogen falls, that scaffolding comes down faster than most people realize. The often cited figure from the classic research is striking. In roughly the first 5 years after menopause, skin can lose around 30% of its collagen. Then it keeps easing down a couple of percent a year after that. And here's the tell that proves this is about hormones, and not just candles on a cake. The loss tracks your menopausal age, not your calendar age. Two women the same age can look years apart depending on where they are in this transition. So no, it isn't that you suddenly stopped taking care of yourself. A structural material in your skin genuinely changed supply. Which brings us to the thing I actually stopped everything to tell you. I want to slow all the way down here, because if you felt every one of these and been made to feel like you were exaggerating, this next part is the whole reason I made this video. You are not imagining it. You did not fall apart because you got weak or lazy or careless. What you felt was real, and it was measurable, and researchers have timed it happening, because estrogen isn't a period hormone. It has receivers in your brain's thermostat, in your bones, in your arteries, in your skin, in your joints. So when it crashes in that narrow window, every one of those places registers the loss at nearly the same moment. That is why it feels like everything broke at once. Not because you're broken, because one signal that a dozen systems were all quietly relying on got switched off together. And so many women carry this alone, or get sent home with a shrug and a thyroid test that comes back normal, quietly wondering if they're losing their mind. You're not. You were the first one in the room to notice something that was really, genuinely happening. That's not fragility. That's you paying attention. And here's the part that turns all of this from a diagnosis into a plan. Because knowing the map is the whole advantage. It tells you exactly where to push, and the research points at a few levers that are almost embarrassingly powerful. The first is the one that covers the most ground at once: lifting things. Not punishing cardio, resistance. When women in a clinical trial did short, heavy strength sessions just twice a week, their bone density improved. The same silent bones we said you couldn't feel slipping, and the same training defends the muscle you were quietly losing. One habit aimed straight at two of the biggest changes. Pair it with enough protein. Your body gets a little less efficient at building muscle in these years, so it simply needs a bit more, spread across the day. Those two together are the real answer to the shape in the mirror, far more than eating less and less, which quietly costs you the very muscle you're trying to keep. And for the truly silent ones, your bones and your heart, the move is simply to make them visible. Ask your doctor whether you're due for a bone density scan, and to actually check your cholesterol through this window instead of waving it off as just your age. If you can, find a doctor who genuinely knows menopause. They exist, and the difference is night and day. None of this is a cure, and none of it is a supplement I'm selling you. It's just knowing where the changes are and aiming at them on purpose. So here's the whole map, in one breath. In the roughly 2 years around your final period, estrogen doesn't fade, it crashes. Your brain's thermostat misfires into hot flashes and a fog that lifts. Your bones and your arteries change in complete silence. Your muscle slips, your fat moves in, while the scale sits there lying to your face, and your skin loses its scaffolding on a clock set by your hormones, not your age. It was never 10 separate failures, and it was never your fault. It was one hormone falling, and now you can see every place it lands. If this finally connected the dots, if you feel a little less alone in your own body than you did 10 minutes ago, subscribe and stick around, because this is exactly what we do here. The science of your 40s and 50s, finally explained. And if a specific person came to mind while you watched, someone who's been told it's just her age, you already know to send this to her. Then tell me in the comments, which one hit you first? Was it the sleep, the fog, the joints, or the shape in the mirror? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.